Imagine standing in a grand hall. Music is soft, cameras flash, then suddenly everyone stops talking. The bride walks in. But this isn't just any bride, and this is not just any dress. It shines, it glows, looks like it costs more than a house, maybe more than a castle. People don't just look, they stare. Some even whisper. That's the power of a wedding gown that isn't just beautiful, it's shocking. Some wedding dresses are not made just to be worn. They are made to make people gasp. They are made to be remembered forever. These gowns are like magic. They are made with gold thread, rare lace, silk from faraway lands, and sometimes even diamonds. Yes, real diamonds. Celebrities, royals, and rich brides wear them. And each one tells a story of beauty, power, and dreams. Amal Clooney's wedding gown was one of these rare masterpieces. When she married famous actor George Clooney, all eyes were on her. But not just because of who she was marrying. Her dress was a piece of art. It was made by Giorgio Armani and cost $380,000. That's more than some people make in 10 years. The dress was soft silk, carefully made with the most detailed handwork. It looked light, but strong, simple, but full of power. People said she looked like a queen. But in truth, she looked like a dream. And that dream walked down the aisle in front of the whole world. Victoria Beckham's dress was a different kind of shock. She didn't wear heavy beads or big diamonds. She wore something very clean, very simple, but it still cost $400,000. Her gown was made by Vera Wang, a designer loved by many brides. It had no big shine, but it had deep beauty. The silk crepe fabric fit her body perfectly. The lines were sharp. Every cut was exact. It was quiet, but powerful. Some people didn't understand why it cost so much. But those who know fashion, they knew. It was high class, style strong, and silent. Victoria wore the dress like she was born for it. Then came Priyanka Chopra. Her dress didn't whisper. It shouted beauty and boldness. She married Nick Jonas and wore a white Ralph Lauren dress covered in more than 2 million small sequins. Imagine that 2 million, each one sewn by hand. The dress sparkled like stars. It took hours just to look at it properly. The layers of silk and satin moved like air around her body. It cost $500,000, and people said it looked like the whole night sky wrapped around her. She didn't just wear a wedding gown. She wore light, love, and luxury. Every person who saw it remembered it. Kim Kardashian's dress was also a huge shock. She is known for loving fashion, and her wedding was not simple. She wore a custom-made Givenchy gown, designed by Riccardo Tisci, like Priyanka. Her dress also cost $500,000. It had a long train that floated behind her. In every part of the lace and stitching was perfect. Her gown was a mix of old beauty and new fashion. It had a vintage soul and a modern heart. People couldn't stop talking about it. Her dress showed the world that even a fashion icon could still surprise everyone. But one of the most famous gowns ever was worn by Grace Kelly. When she became the Princess of Monaco, she wore a dress that looked like it came from a fairy tale. It cost $600,000, made with silk, lace, and soft pearl details. It had long sleeves, a high neck, and a full skirt. It was not flashy. It was pure elegance. Designed by Helen Rose, the dress showed that a woman could be strong, royal, and graceful all at the same time. Even today, many wedding gowns try to copy her look, but none of them come close. These wedding dresses were more than fashion. They were history. They were emotion. Each one carried the hope of love, the dream of a perfect day, and the power of beauty that makes the world stop just for a moment. And the story doesn't end here. Some wedding gowns still remain untold. Bigger, bolder, and even more expensive than anything you've heard yet. Get ready for part 2, where royalty meets. Riches and silk meets millions. Shocking. This is only the beginning. Close your eyes for a second and imagine walking into a palace. A wedding is about to begin. People are dressed in their finest clothes. Everything looks grand, but then the bride appears. And just like that, nothing else matters. Her dress is not just beautiful, it's unbelievable. It looks like it took years to make. It shines like gold. It moves like a whisper. Everyone stares. Some even cry. That's the kind of power a true royal wedding gown has, and what you're about. To read will take that feeling to the next level. Kate Middleton's wedding was watched by millions around the world. When she stepped out of the car and the camera zoomed in, there was silence. Her gown was designed by Sarah Burton for Alexander McQueen. It was everything people had hoped for and more. The dress had a lace bodice, long sheer sleeves, a soft satin skirt, and a 9-foot train. It looked both old and new, royal and modern. Kate looked like she had walked out of a storybook. But that beauty came with a price: $1.2 million. One dress. But people still say it was worth every penny. Her dress set a new standard for royal fashion. Then came someone even more dramatic: Elizabeth Taylor. She was a woman who had many weddings, but one dress stood out from all the rest. For her marriage to Richard Burton, she wore a gown that people still talk about today. It was made by a designer known for bold, movie-like fashion. Her dress was made with silk taffeta, had a sweetheart neckline, and a train that looked like it could touch the stars. The gown sparkled and flowed like water, and the beadwork was so detailed it took months to finish. It was not just a gown, it was a performance, and it cost $1.5 million. That dress showed the world that Elizabeth Taylor didn't just love big jewels. She wore her love on her sleeves, literally. Princess Charlene of Monaco also surprised everyone. When she married Prince Albert II, she wore a gown that was different from the usual royal style. It was made by Giorgio Armani and was very modern, had a high neckline and a clean, structured shape. It wasn't full of lace or sparkle, but it was perfect. The silk tulle moved gently with every step she took. It was simple, but so well made that people were left speechless. Her dress also cost $1.5 million, and with it, she showed that even a modern woman can look royal. But royalty doesn't stop in Monaco. Spain gave us another bride whose dress stunned the world queen. Letizia. When she married King Philippe VI, her dress was designed by Manuel Pertegas, a famous Spanish designer. It had long sleeves, a high collar, and beautiful embroidery all over the bodice and train. The silk shone softly, and the lacework was so fine, it looked like it was painted on. People in Spain said it was the perfect mix of tradition and beauty. The dress cost $1.7 million. But more than that, it carried the pride of a whole country. Still, no dress in history created more shock, love, and memory than Princess Diana's wedding gown. Her dress was a dream made real. It had a 25-foot-long train, the longest in royal wedding history. Over 10,000 pearls were sewn into the fabric by hand. The sleeves were puffed, the bodice was tight, the skirt was huge, and the feeling it gave? It's pure magic. Designed by David and Elizabeth Emanuel, the dress cost $1.2 million. But its true value cannot be measured. The world watched Diana walk into her new life, and the gown she wore became a symbol of elegance, charm, and heart. These wedding gowns weren't just fashion, they were history. Each dress told a story of love, a story of power, a story of dreams that came true under chandeliers and royal arches. When people say it's just a dress, they haven't seen dresses. Like these, what's next? Believe it or not, there are still gowns, even more rare, some that sparkle with real diamonds, some that were never even worn but still cost millions. In Part 3, the story of the world's most mysterious and jaw-dropping wedding gowns will continue. If you thought $1.7 million was the top, just wait. The most shocking one is still to come. Just when you think you've seen it all, lace, silk, pearls, and million-dollar gowns, another dress appears, and everything changes again. This time it's not just about cost, it's about mystery. It's about dresses so rare and powerful. They don't just belong to one woman, they belong to history. These are wedding gowns that shocked not only the guests at the wedding, but the whole world watching on screens, reading magazines, and dreaming of love dressed in gold and diamonds. People say no one can forget Princess Diana's gown. But what if there were gowns that cost even more? What if there were dresses made with real diamonds? Dresses that could buy entire islands? These gowns don't just tell stories, they are the story In 2006, a wedding dress was made that shocked everyone, not because a celebrity wore it, but because of what it was made of. The diamond wedding dress was created by designer Renee Strauss and jeweler Martin Katz. The dress was white. Yes, but not normal white. It had 150 carats of diamonds sewn into it, real diamonds. And the cost? $12 million? No, that's not a mistake. The dress was never worn at a real wedding. It was shown in fashion shows, guarded closely, shining under bright lights. Some people said it looked too heavy to wear. Others said it looked like a million stars. But one thing is, true, it was unforgettable. Then came the peacock wedding dress. This one was not white at all. It was made of peacock feathers, real ones. Over 2,000 feathers, each one hand-selected and placed carefully to form the full skirt and train. The colors were deep green, blue, and gold. The dress looked alive like a moving painting. It was made by a Chinese designer for a fashion show, and it cost around $1.5 million. Some people loved it. Others said it was too wild. But everyone agreed it was bold. No one had ever seen anything like it. But what about a dress made from gold? Yes, there's one too. In Tokyo, a gold wedding dress was made using pure gold threads woven into the fabric. It looked like sunlight had been sewn together. The dress had a traditional shape, but the shimmer was unlike anything else. It weighed over 10 kilograms and cost more than $8 million. Brides couldn't walk in it for long, but they didn't need to. Just standing in it was enough to steal the whole world's attention. Another stunning creation was the white gold diamond dress made in Dubai. This gown was designed using white gold, silk, and diamonds. The dress didn't just sparkle, it glowed. Its value was placed at $8.5 million. The design was kept under high security, and it was only shown during special luxury fashion events. It looked more like a treasure than a dress. Most people couldn't believe it was real. But sometimes it's not the cost that shocks, it's the message. One bride wore a dress made from newspapers and recycled materials. The dress cost almost nothing in money, but it sent a powerful message about waste, beauty, and love for the earth. People were surprised and inspired. It showed that even in a world of million-dollar gowns, a dress made with heart can still take the spotlight. Some dresses are kept in museums. Some are kept in secret vaults. Others are passed down through royal families. But they all share one thing. They remind people that love, style, and dreams can live in one perfect moment. And that moment often begins with a dress. In every country, in every culture, the wedding gown holds deep meaning. It is more than fashion. It is tradition, family, hope, and a symbol of new beginnings. But when the dress becomes a legend, that's when the world watches. As this journey of stunning wedding gowns continues, one question remains. Is there a gown that stands above all the rest? A dress that is not just expensive or rare, but magical. In the final part, we'll uncover the most talked about dress in history. It's the one that continues to inspire books, movies, and millions of dreams. You think you've seen the most shocking gowns? Just wait. The last one might break your heart in the most beautiful way. There are wedding dresses that sparkle, dresses that shine, dresses that cost millions. But once in a lifetime, there is one gown that becomes more than fashion, more than beauty. It becomes a memory shared by the whole world. It becomes a symbol of love, of hope, and sometimes of heartbreak. That gown doesn't just live in a closet or a museum. It lives in people's hearts. That gown was worn by Princess Diana. The world had never seen anything like it before. On July 29, 1981, over 750 million people watched on TV as a young woman stepped out of a royal carriage. The streets of London were filled with cheers. The bells rang loudly across the city. But then, everything fell quiet for just a moment. Because that was when Diana appeared. Her gown was not simple. It was grand, bold, and full of dreams. The dress was designed by David and Elizabeth Emanuel, and it became one of the most iconic wedding dresses in history. I had a 25-foot long train, the longest train ever worn at a royal wedding. It needed several people just to carry it behind her. The dress was made of ivory silk taffeta and antique lace, and it was covered in over 10,000 pearls. Every pearl, every stitch was hand-sewn with care. The puffed sleeves, the wide skirt, the tiny waistlet, all came together like a fairy tale. But it was more than that. It was a young girl's dream coming true on the world's biggest stage. Diana looked nervous, yet strong, scared, yet proud. And in that moment, her dress became a symbol not just of her wedding, but of the life she was stepping into. The cost of the dress was around $1.2 million, but even that number doesn't explain its real value. Because this wasn't just about fashion, this was history. This was emotion. People all over the world cried watching her walk into St. Paul's Cathedral. Some whispered, "She looks like an angel." Others said, "She's the people's princess." But no matter where you were or who you were, you felt something when you saw that dress. Years later, after her passing, the dress still brings tears to people's eyes. It has traveled the world in museum tours. People line up for hours just to see it. Mothers bring their daughters. Grandparents tell stories. And the message is always the same. Diana's dress was more than a gown. It was love made real. But even though Diana's dress is the most remembered, it was never about just money or glamour. It was about the way it made people feel. That's what all these shocking wedding gowns have in common. Whether it was made of diamonds, gold, or simple silk, each one told a story. A story of hope, a story of love, a story of someone stepping into a new life, not knowing what the future holds. In the world of wedding gowns, prices can rise into the millions. But the truth is, the most powerful gowns are not always the most expensive. Sometimes, a simple dress chosen with love can create just as much magic. A dress that makes someone feel special, feel strong, feel beautiful. That's the real treasure. From Amal Clooney's quiet elegance, to Kim Kardashian's bold fashion, to Queen Latifah's royal charm, each gown made its mark. But it was Diana's dress that touched hearts across the world. Now, as people look for the next most shocking gown, they remember these moments. They remember how it felt to see a bride glowing with hope. They remember the sparkle in her eyes and the silence before the applause, and they wonder, will we ever see another gown like that again? Maybe, maybe not. But one thing is certain. A wedding dress is never just a dress. It's a memory, a dream, a promise. And sometimes, it's the moment that the whole world watches and never forgets. So, which wedding gown impressed you the most? Is it the diamonds, the lace, or the meaning behind it? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to share the magic. Because love might start with a heartbeat, but sometimes it truly begins with a dress.